Welcome back, guys, to another NHL DFS puck drop. This is Hold the Door DFS at Fantasy Sports Insight. If you are a new subscriber or a new listener, please hit that subscribe button below, throw a like or a comment. I do want to encourage you, if you have any questions about your lineups or maybe a 1v1, who's your favorite stack, who's your favorite goalie, who's your favorite value, and you don't get that out of this video, or you have or want some clarification, make sure you put that comment in the chat or down below, and I will answer as many of those as possible. All right, let's get into the slate. It's a shorter one, only 5 games. We do have all eyes will be on the Maple Leafs and the Oilers game with Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid taking stage together. It is the highest total at 6.5. The Maple Leafs actually have the highest implied total of the entire slate, and they are favored here as a minus 150 favorite. But I think you can target both sides. As we've seen with Toronto, they've been great on offense and equally as leaky on defense. So that is great for DFS. And the Blues match up again against San Jose, which we saw a game that had, I think, 11 goals in the last time they played. I expect that to be dialed back a little bit, but I do think San Jose's defense is going to continue to be awful. I don't think that part's going to change. So I think there's some really cheap Blues players or underpriced that you can definitely stack and correlate up against San Jose. The Golden Knights, 3.3 implied total again here against Arizona. We'll get to a couple of their players, but they are also viable here against Arizona. The Canadians, a 3.1 implied total against Vancouver, a slight favorite, and the Oilers with a 3 total. And you can kind of see, Golden Knights are the biggest money line favorite, then the Blues and the Maple Leafs. The highest game total, there's only one game with a 6.5 total. So I think if you can get as many pieces from that game as possible, that's probably an optimal way to build. All right, the stud position. Sorry, not the stud position, the center position, the studs. Obviously, Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews are going to pop off the screen. And I think more people are going to actually flock to Matthews after the dud that McDavid put up last game. And we've seen him dud and then go for 50 and go nuclear. So don't let the last game drive your decision here. I think playing both of them is perfectly fine, and I think will be a popular route. Just because you'll see at the winger position, Patches is really the only stud to pay for if you want. And I think the only logical pivot I can see people making is going down from Matthews to Tavares or playing both if you really feel strongly about the Maple Leafs. Tavares leading the league in points, I believe, with 6. And that was going into last night. And I think you're getting a significant discount for somebody who's performing at a similar rate. Leon Draisaitl, I think, is fine as well. I just prefer McDavid. I think that would be more of a GPP pivot off of McDavid to go to Draisaitl. In the mid-range, Hurdle and Couturier are great San Jose options if you want to go that route. Braden Shen did have his position changed to center. So he will be 4,100 after being 3.6 last slate. So this is still a pretty good discount on him. Not as much of a popular play. I don't think he'll be not being sub 4K and being in the center position, but I think that he's definitely still viable. Stefan, I probably still pronounce that wrong. I'm not even remembering how it's supposed to be pronounced. Whoops, I apologize. I did not update the value. They are not playing on this slate. So let me just pull up quick who the value centers are. I apologize on that. So at the center position, I think it's pretty bleak, honestly, if I remember right. Looking down here, yeah, you have Shen. Then it gets really bad fast. You have somebody like Robert Thomas, who's seen a decent amount of ice time, but hasn't been that great. Bukestad hasn't been that great. Glass is playing down at the bottom of the, I think the third or fourth line. Victor Rask has been okay. He had a goal in the first game for the Wild. He's only 3,000. But in general, I would not suggest punting down here with the center position. Sorry about that. I apologize. But yeah, don't waste your time there. All right, the winger position. Patches or Max Pacioretty, 7,500 is clearly the top winger, and he has performed really well all year. I think he has the 5-shot on goal bonus at least 2 of the 3 games so far, if not every one. I don't remember. And has had goals in every game, I think, as well. So Mitch Marner, 6.9, a great pairing with somebody like Austin Matthews. And then the other side, Nugent Hopkins will be paired with Connor McDavid. Kevin Fiala, I just continue to love. He's got, I think, 18 shots on goal in 3 games. And I think he hasn't even had a goal or assist yet. So that will be coming. Though what's crazy about that is if you think about 5 shots on goal, you're already at like over 10 points. You're almost nearly at a goal with the bonus. So I think you really do need to value those guys that can hit the 5 shot on goal bonus, because that is already 10 points right there. William Nylander would be somebody that I would pair with John Tavares. Not somebody that I'm going to go out of my way to plug in, but if you're going to pair those two together, I think that is fine. In the mid range, I got Brendan Gallagher. Love him at 5,500. He if he's going to be sub 6K, I think he's a target every single slate. Kaprizov at 5,400 is also still viable. I know he was kind of disappointing the last game, but I think he's talented enough to consider him at that price tag. Jayden Schwartz, somebody that you can pair with Jayden Schwartz, somebody you can pair with Braden Shen. He's 4,100 or 4,700, had a goal in the last game against San Jose. Then we get down to our value. Riley Smith showed up with 2 goals last game, sub 4K, somebody who's normally priced in the mid 5s, sometimes high 4s. I know one was on an empty net, shorthanded goal, but I think he's still viable at 3,800. Leonard, one of the prospects here for San Jose, is still getting a decent amount of ice time, so 3.5 is a great value for him. Tuck 3.4 is shooting, just hasn't got the goal or assist to really have that show up game yet, and I think that is on the horizon pretty soon. And then Kyrou, one of St. Louis's young stud players, is continuing. I think he has at least 2 or 3 goals already. 2 goals, I think, already. Seen a really good chunk of ice time. I think he is on the second or third line. They kind of have bumped them around a little bit, but I think he's getting enough ice time to value him at 2.8. On the defender position, Brent Burns showed up huge against San Jose, with a goal and at least 1 assist. So I think he's definitely viable at 6.9. But I will say, like Pietrangelo and Theodore, if they're going to continue to run only 5D, Pietrangelo, I think, is playing like over 25 minutes a game. Theodore is up from what he normally plays, but obviously he just has a ton of volume. He's going to shoot every time he's on the ice. I think he did have the 5 shot on goal bonus, and Pietrangelo had the 3 blocks. He might have also had the shot on goal bonus. He might have done the double last game. I don't remember, but I mean, these two are phenomenal cash plays every time, especially with only 5 defenders, because they're going to be playing a ton. Shea Weber, great pairing with Brendan Gallagher. Also, he did have the 5 shot on goal bonus last game, showed up with a goal as well. So love him. Dumba, 5.2K, disappointing last time out against Anaheim. I expect that to change today. He did have 10 shots on goal in his first 2 games and then showed up with 0 in his third. So I expect that to go back to, 4 to 5 shots on goal. Alec Martinez, another person who is greatly benefiting from the 5D rotation for Vegas, is seeing a ton of ice time. I think he had like 6 block shots last game, and that's not like an outlier. He is somebody that's just going to get on the ice and block shots and put shots on net. So Darnell Nurse, 4.2K, way too cheap per usual. So you can plug him in as a great cash play as well. Tyson Brary, even cheaper, and actually on the first power play unit with Edmonton, and seeing that ice time get above 20 minutes is great for somebody like him. So love him at 4K to pair with McDavid. Hamonic is going to be a cash viable play as long as he's under 4K with the shot on goal and block shot bonus potential as well. And then Hall, a punt defender for Toronto, seeing 20 minutes of ice time and performing pretty well. Lastly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this position. I just kind of threw something together really quick because I didn't love it. And it is only a 5-game slate. Robin Leonard, I think, is going to be the most popular pay-up option here. I don't think Carey Price is too expensive. Fred Anderson's too expensive, in my opinion. On the mid-range, I do like Talbot. I think the Wild bounce back here really nicely. The only risk with somebody like Talbot is that he might not see that many shots on goal. So if they don't win, he could really have some low upside. And then on the other side of that same game, I really like Gibson. Gibson, if you are not going to play Talbot, I don't mind playing Gibson if you're not playing any wild players, because Gibson is a wild killer, and he also is somebody that can just put the team on his back and save a ton of shots. They're going to take on pressure and not be the ones that are applying it. So Gibson always in play for 30 plus saves upside. All right, guys, thanks again for listening. Throw any comments in the chat. Again, I apologize for that value center position. I thought I updated that, but again, there's not really much there to talk about.